So we have a problem set that we need to solve. It's all about loops, nested loops also. Some questions are very simple. Let's see this one, for example. Write a Python program that uses a for loop to find the sum of how many numbers? And those numbers are entered by the user. So inside the loop, there will be an input. Do you get this? So now if I try to go here, and I'll say problem1.python. So the question was what again? And inside the loop, they are entered by the user. So let me just copy the question here and make sure we know what we are going to do. So we need sum, right? So can we say before the loop sum is equal to 0? Good. And the loop needs to go 4 times, right? 5 times, right? So for I in range 5. So it will be from 0 to 4. So now I can say value is equal to what? Integer input. What? Enter a value. And this loop will go how many times, Yabanat? Excellent. Sum is equal to sum plus. That's it. Done. So we'll do this thing 5 times inside the loop. Every time the user is going to enter a value. And after the loop, we can say what? Sum is equal to sum. Does that make sense? I'm not sure about the question. For loop to find the sum of 5 numbers. Yeah, we can make it float. It doesn't matter. Tamam? So that's it. Initialize sum to 0. Go 5 times in the loop. Take a value. Add it to sum. After you finish the loop, output it. First value, second value, third value, fourth, and fifth value. Does that make sense? Okay. This is a straightforward question. We know how many times we're going to go inside the loop. The question is very clear, 5 numbers. So we go and see the second question now. Rewrite the same code using what? Okay, so now I'll go here and do problem 2. Python. I will copy the question here and say that uses what? While loop. Does that make sense? Can we cheat something here? Not much, by the way. Okay, I will take some. Tamam. Control Z. I need some statements here. So now, while loop needs what? A counter. We start our counter with 1. If you start with 1, you need to make while I is less than or equal to what? So less than or equal to 5 because you are starting from 1. Bas khalas. Inside the loop, what are you going to tell the user? Give me a value, right? Then what? Add it, but there is one step that is we need to do. I is equal to I what? So this way we know that once the counter reaches 5, we are outside the loop. And once we go outside the loop, we need to print what? Sum. So counter, this is the condition. Everything is the same. However, you handle the counter manually. In the for loop, you don't need to do anything with the counter. Make sure our code works fine. Enter a value. Whatever values I'm entering now. Good. Come on. Excellent. Next question. Rewrite the program to find the sum of n numbers, where n is what? Do it in both in what? So I'll go here and, okay, I'll do program 3. And I will say here what? Write the program using what? Sum of what? Okay. The user inputs the value of what? بس خلاص. So now before you go inside the loop, you say n, which is an integer input, and you ask the user how many what? How many values? Does that make sense? Or how instead of 5 you make this what? بس خلصنا. That's it. So now the user tells you how many, and you go from 1 to n. Let's test it now here. Let me run it. How many values? I have only 3 values. Whatever values I'm entering, I'm getting their sum. A good way when you input a message, okay, to tell the user which value you are looking for. Is it first, second? So this way you need what? It depends. In with this while loop, we will not use I plus 1 because we are starting from 1, right? صح? So here I can say enter value I. No need for I plus 1. صح ولا لا, right? مظبوط. Here, how many values? 3 values. Enter value 1. We are starting from 1. But if you are starting from 0, you need to do what? I plus 1. Does that make sense? So same thing. I'll just take this question, this part here. Okay. I'll do for loop here. And this is our for loop, right? It's the same thing. So the only thing that's going to be different, what here? And I'll say, sorry, let it just take here. We did it with what here? Sum of 5 numbers. And this is our for loop. And we're going to start again here. Is going to be in range of what, ya banat? بس خلاص, 0 to n. That's it. If you now you are starting from what? 0. So now in this case, if you want to format the output to tell the user a better message, here you can say I plus equal what? Does that make sense? So now here, I'll make 2 sums, yani, for sum. You know what's for sum here? The second loop here. Yani, just in case you don't want, okay? So these are same program, once using what here? Using what? And here using for loop. Next question. Modify the program to print the average and what? Average is easy, okay? So we go here to problem for Python. I'll use the same code here, okay? I can, okay, use while or for. And here, what should I say? Last thing, what they want. Modify what? Modify the program to print what? And here maybe we need to stop a bit, yani, because I believe I did not cover this in the examples in the classroom. And there are many ways how to do this. Okay, let me just make a comment here. So we need to modify our program to find what? Average is easy, right? Okay. So average is easy. We can say AVG is equal to what? Sum divided by n, and that's it, right? Print average. Okay, and here AVG. Now we need the maximum, right? Okay. There are many ways, Abanat, how to find the maximum. Many ways. In Python, it's easy, by the way. If I give you 10 students course and you will consider the first one to be the maximum. We did this, tamam? But this is good. We can do it in another. But there is another way here, which is float minus what? Infinity. إيش يعني float minus infinity? It means this is the lowest value that can be calculated by computers. يعني إحنا we are telling the program that the maximum is the lowest value ever. طيب. بس خلاص. Now, we will compare the value. If this value is larger than max, then max will be equal to what? بس خلصنا. If value is larger than max, then what? Max is equal to value. So, but only the first time this will be used. Why we do this? Sometimes your values are negative. So the maximum of 10 negative values will be -1, not -10. You get that? This one will definitely work for all types of what? All types of what? Tamam. So let's go back and see here what's the code here. How it will work. First time, I will run this. I prefer to just give some space here before I run it. Now, how many values? I have 5 values. Now, which line I am at? I am at line 9. Yes or no? Right. I'll enter 7. Is it larger than -infinity? Yes. That's khalas. So what's going to happen in line 11? So the maximum will be what? Type. Now I entered 3. Is 3 larger than max? So max remains what? Now I enter 99. Is 99 greater than max? So max will be replaced by what now? Now I enter -1. I enter 0. Does that make sense? So, by the way, if you want to calculate the minimum, you can do the opposite. You can do what? Infinity, and if it's less, right? So now, did we calculate the maximum in this example? Tamam. And I showed you maximum with 3 numbers. 3 numbers are not like this here because you might enter 1 million numbers. You cannot use that logic. 3 numbers, you will do 2 if statements, and that's it. But this one can be used for any example. Tamam. Okay, good. Of course, the same logic is going to be there if you have what? The while loop. So let's see what we have here. Using a while loop, write a Python program that keeps reading what? Numbers from the user until which value is entered. Print the sum. Do not use while break. I believe I taught you this using 2 ways. One is using while true and then you do break. And one is what? Take 1 before the loop. Then what? Okay, so let us see here which problem we are trying to solve now. Problem 5, Python. This is our question, right? And we need sum. صح ولا لا? Equal to 0. I need count. Do they need average or only sum? Only sum. But if they need average, I need to do what? So, okay, sum. Now, you remember the 3 things I told you. Take one value, what? Before the loops, And here the first value is equal to what? Float, input, enter a value, and between brackets, I would say -999 to what? -999 is just a value. Does that make sense? Did we take one value before the loop? Okay, number 2. What? The loop condition. What's the loop condition? Write the condition so that the loop terminates if -999 is entered. Does that make sense? So what's our loop condition now? Y value is not equal to -99. Does that make sense? خلاص بس. If you do these 2 steps, you are fine. Now, what are you going to do? We need to find sum, صح? Sum is equal to sum plus value. And that's it. No, I will add what? Where is the here? Print there sum and average. تمام؟ I'm متأكد إنه غالبا السؤال اللي بعده في average. So no need. Are we done? So now what to do in the last step of the loop? Request what? The next value where at the last step in the loop. Does that make sense? If you apply these rules, خلاص, يعني your code is gonna work. And here, okay, بس خلصنا by the way. Print sum is equal to sum. Let me explain it now. Okay, we did explain it many times. I take one value. Let us say I entered 9 here. If I enter 9 here at line 7, is it going to go inside the loop? That's خلاص. So 9 will be added to sum, صح? Then the program stops and asks you for the next value. I enter 10. 10 will be taken back to line 10. Do you agree? And it will go inside. Then I enter 17, 40, 50. And once I am done, I enter minus 999 here. What happens now? Minus 999 will be taken to line 10. Huh? The loop condition becomes what? False. So it goes to line 14. Does that make sense? So did you tell the program how many values you are entering? Once you stop, you stop. That's why we need sometimes to keep. Okay, 4. What line am I at now? Line 7. Yes or no? Now I'm at line 13. Do you agree? It will be taken back to line 10. Okay, again. This will work as long as you are not entering which value? What did we call the value? Sentinel value. Khalas, I am done. What? Now you are on line 13, right? It will take the value 9 minus 999 to where? Line 10, and that's it. So the loop condition becomes false. Remember the steps, not the example. Take one value before. Write the condition so that if the value is entered, it could be negative, positive, and where to request the next value? In the last step of the loop. Modify the program to print. Modify the program to print the average. Tamam? Okay, so I'll take the same program. Okay, I will go and write program 6. Right? And here I will say now, print the sum and what? In order to find the average, what do you need to find? Count. So count is what? Now, every time you go inside the loop, it means what? You accepted a value, yes or no? So can we say inside the loop, count is equal to count plus 1? بس خلصنا by the way. Now, if you know the count and the sum, can you calculate the average? Okay, good, excellent. Up here now, AVG is equal to what? Sum over what? And that's it. I'll come back to this one and make one modification. And here AVG. Tamam. So let's see what we have here. Tamam. I will run this code now. I am at line 7. I entered 8, 7, 9, 5.6, whatever. Mashi? Now what's going to happen? I am done. Every time you go inside, it takes the value, add it to the sum, and increment the counter by 1. So after the loop, you know how many. Type. This type of loops, see if I run it. What line I'm at now? Is it at line 7? Yes or no? I entered what now? So is it going to go inside the loop? Not even once, right? So sum is what? Here we might run in a problem, which is what? What is it? Because the count is 0 and you are trying to divide 0 by what? So isn't it a better idea to come here, to come here before we print the results? To only print the results only if the user inputted somewhat valid values. So here I can say if count is greater than 0. What does this mean? If count is greater than 0, there has been some valid values. صح ولا لا? Do this. Else, صح? Print. No, not error. No valid values entered. Yani you go to the ATM, صح? You put your card. Then you cancel. خلاص, you go, right? You canceled, right? It's like exactly like this. تمام? No valid values entered. خلاص, يعني this is much better than not telling the user anything. So now minus 999, it will tell me what? No valid values entered. However, if you have some values like this one, تمام? And now minus 999, you get the sum and what? The average. It's also a good idea to tell the user what? Also, how many how many values entered, huh? Here. Okay, count, comma, valid values entered. Is it a good idea? You get it? So if I run this here, okay, 9, 5, whatever, minus 999. So what here you see? 3 valid values entered. So if you can control these details, خلاص, you are in control here. You are controlling the loop. Don't let the loop controls you. Modify to find what? Okay, good. So now it seems like we are again doing the same thing here. What is this? Program what? 7.python. And here I will take all the code. And what do you want me to do here? Modify the program to, okay. Modify the program to find minimum and maximum. طيب. Maximum is equal what يا ستي? Float what? Minus infinity. هلا minimum is the opposite. Is equal to what? Float what? وخلصنا بس. That's it. If the value is larger than max, then max is equal to the value. If the value is less than minimum, then minimum is equal to what? The value. ماشي الحال. So here, I will come here. If what? Value is greater than max, what? Max is equal to what? If. This is if, not else if. ما لها علاقة. If minimum is less than what? Or sorry, if value is less than minimum, then minimum is equal to what? Minimum is equal to value. I prefer in this example to even show you inside the loop, print, max, and what? ماشي? Good. So, and after the loop here, I can say max, okay, max and minimum. Yeah, but see, I don't touch the other parts of the loop because we know they have been what tested and working. Do you get this? Otherwise, there's going to be spaghetti code, huh? ماشي, minimum. Let's see this now. I prefer to show you the output. So we are inside here now. I'll take 9. See here we have 9 and what? Minimum is 9 because we entered only one value, صح? Now now 99. So maximum is what? And the minimum is what? Do you see the logic working? صح ولا لا? Minus 1. So what? Maximum is what? 99 and the minimum. Do you get this يا بنات? Okay, 2. ماشي الحال. Do you see this? And finally, I am done. So here you put the minimum largest value, maximum what? Then we compare. Okay, so if you do this logic at the end of the loop, what will be in minimum and max? The largest and the smallest value. I didn't touch anything. I only added what? This logic inside the loop. Tamam? Let's see next one. Now rewrite the program using what? While true break. Tamam, easy. Control AC, and now we do what? Program what يا بنات? 8, and here, instead of what? Instead of do not, here we use what? While true break loop. صح ولا لا? Good. هلا while true break ما في داعي, we don't have to do many of these things. تمام? No need to take what? One value before the loop. تمام? No need to take one value before the loop. تمام؟ بس خلاص. What's the loop will be? While true. ايش يعني while true؟ يعني للأبد. Forever. There is no loop forever. طيب. It's not forever عن جد. بس it's what? Take a value. Now, what happens? Before you use this value, what are you going to do? You need to check it. If it's minus 999, then what? Break. So if value is equal minus 999, what to do? بس خلصنا. If it's not, you do the same thing we did before. صح ولا لا؟ بس no other, huh? Now look at your loop. It will work forever. When your loop will be what? If you break. When you break out of the loop, if this condition is true, أنا بعطيكم general rules. تمام. Good. بس خلاص خلصنا. This is easier maybe, but that one is more professional. But both are correct. تمام. What did I didn't put what? It will be forever here, but يعني there should be a way, okay? So here, now, you are, while true, take the value. However, one rule here, check the value before using, does that make sense? Break if it is what? Minus 9, does that make sense? Yani don't add it to sum, don't do anything, huh? Before you use it, it could be that sentinel value, the one that breaks out of the loop. تمام. بس خلصنا. We need to test it, صح؟ عشان نشوف إنه is not okay. Run. So no value outside the loop. I am at line 10. Do you agree? Before I use any value at line 10, what I'm gonna do? It will go and check it in line 12. Yes or no? It will be false. So it will go and do some count and max and minimum and come back to the beginning of the loop. Takes a new value, صح? ماشي? Keeps taking value, huh? Now I am done. What line am I at now? Line 10. I'm entering that value, minus 999. What's going to happen in line 12? The condition will be true, and it will do what? So and now you get what? You get all these things. ماشي الحال يا بنات. تمام. Good. طيب. Next. Rewrite the same program using what? Yes, no style. What's yes, no style? The user inputs a value. Do you want to continue? So now we need to ask the user if he wants to what? So it's not a while true, break, and high. So our condition, we'll ask the user a question, and if he answers yes, we'll continue. If he answers no, we will what? So now again here, I will go to this thing and program what now? Program 9.python. I will take the same code and do what? Here, what? Use what? Yes, no style. Do you agree with this, يا بنات? Okay. طيب. It's not while true now. I will say, again, for example, is equal to yes. Why? Tamam? Because at least first time in this type of loops, we consider that first time the user is going to go. Now, while, what is my condition? While again is equal to what? حاضر. هلا بنعمل. And by the way, here, the user is going to continue. But now, after finishing this, after we reach step 19, are we done with the one value? Yes or no? So now I need to ask the user, again is equal to input, it's text, it's not a numeric value. Input, continue, for example, continue, and tell him yes or what? No. Does that make sense? So if the user inputs Y, the loop comes back to line 9. Do you agree? And if it's Y, the condition is true. So we go inside the loop and process it and then ask him. We will ask him every time he inputs what? A value. If he enters no, what happens to the condition? Tamam. So let's see this before we run. Okay, now let's see this style. We need to change the message, صح? I prefer to terminate it and run it. Enter a value. Does that make sense? لأنه here there is no sentinel value. صح ولا لا? Right? So now we run it. Enter a value. على طول احنا we are inside the loop at least once. 9. Continue. If I input yes here, line 20, the again will be taken to line what? 12, صح? No. What? I made a mistake here. استنوا شوية يا بنات. I made a mistake. I need to remove this. خلاص. خلاص صح ولا لا؟ Right. It's all about the answer. It's not about a value. يعني continue yes or no بس that's it. Enter a value 5. Do you want to continue? Yes. Enter a value 88. Do you want to continue? Yes. Do you see this? Okay, usually this you make this with larger questions here. No. What happens if you enter no? Time. Some of you said I need to double check. Yes. Because the user might enter caps Y. The program is going to terminate. Why? Because small y has a value and capital Y is another thing, right? So here, what should we do? While again is equal or again is equal what? Sorry. You will study how to do this in one step later when you study strings. تمام. هاي or in Java صح؟ تمام. يعني تعودتوا بطلتوا okay. Enter a value 7. What here? Even capital Y is gonna work, small y is gonna work. تمام. And here, okay. No. Does that make sense now? Now we are in control of this loop, but using which style now? Yes, no style. The continuation condition of the loop depends on your answer to which variable, Yabana? The value of again decides whether you continue or no. And you will be asked every time. Does that make sense now? One more question. Write a Python program to find if an integer is a prime number or not. Do not accept what? Type. Okay. This is number what? 10. Program 10.python. And I believe I need to rename it. I don't like capital letter. Oh, caps lock is okay. B10 dot. Okay. Is this correct? So what's our condition? What's our challenge now? Do not what? طيب. طبعا أنا كمبيوتر تيتشر يا بنات صح ولا لا؟ مش كتير بالي طويل لما الطلاب يقولوا شو برايم نمبر وما شو برايم نمبر اوكي طيب and the lecture is being recorded حتى يعني اوكي تمام. So what's a prime number? A number that's divisible by what? If it's divisible by any number, then what? It's not a prime number. There are many ways how to do this. Some prime numbers are huge. تمام؟ خليكم معي. هلا n is equal to integer. لازم يكون integer هو صح؟ Input, enter, and integer. Does that make sense? Good? ماشي? Good? طيب. This value must be non-negative. So what should I say? While n is less than or equal to what? Then you need to do what? Enter the value, huh? Here I'll give you an error message. And you cannot come out of the loop. Invalid, negative, value, re-enter. Does that make sense? So if you input a negative value, what's going to happen here? Can you come to step 6 unless the value is non-negative? Okay, good. Type now. How many possibilities if you input a number now? It's either what? Prime or what? صح? صح? So we'll use a Boolean. A Boolean can be either true or what? احنا جماعيتنا طيبة. We'll say prime is equal to what? طبعا now you would say how true. احنا we will assume it's true. And then we will check. If it's divisible by any value, then what we gonna do? we say no, this is not. بس أخذنا بحسن النية مش حسن الظن كويس برضو. يعني we assume the number is what? So now I need to divide the number from 2. لا all less. يعني if the number is 10 I'll start from 2. If the number is 15 I'll start from 2. بعد شوي بقول لكم لا ما في داعي نروح لا للنهاية. So for I in range 2 to n موافقين؟ لأنه كل الأعداد تقسم على واحد صح؟ إحنا راح نبدأ من كم؟ ماشي؟ هلا بدنا نشوف is it divisible by 2? If it's not, is it divisible by 3? If it's not, if it's divisible by 4, 5, if it's divisible by one of them, خلاص we stop and the number is not. ماشي الحال. If n modulus I equal 0 هيك means what? ما في باقي قسمة and the number is not. صح ولا لا؟ يعني هذا بقبل القسمة عليهم. شوف شو راح اعمل هون. راح اقول برايم is equal to what؟ لا عم طلع الرقم هذا ايش؟ تمام؟ كويس؟ طيب some prime numbers are huge. Do I need to continue after this? Now tell me, do I need to continue? خلاص if it's divisible by 1 ولا 1000 number then it's not. Do I need to continue now? Then I can do what here? Break means outside the for loop, صح? Now the idea is when we come outside the loop, we will check what? We will check which value? Which value? The prime. Imagine if you enter 11. Is it 11? Yes. If you enter 11, we will go. Is it divisible by 2? So it's not going to go here, صح? Is it divisible by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Is it? يعني ولا مرة is going to go inside this if statement. Yes or no? So when it comes outside the loop, the value of prime remains what? You get this? Let's say you entered what? 15. 15. Is it divisible by 2? It will go. Is it divisible by 3? What happens now? Prime is equal to what? And no need to continue. Khalas is divisible by 1. What? Outside what? And now outside the loop, what do we need to check? Which value? The prime. هيك بنسميه flag. يعني the value of prime tells us what happened inside the loop. You get this now? يعني this flag tells us what happened inside. If it's still true, it means what? It has not been found divisible by any value. If it's false, it means what? At least it was divisible by what? One value, صح? طيب يا بنات, let us say I enter 10. I need to divide from 2 to what? لا. هل في number divisible by أكثر من نصه؟ يعني 10 can be divisible maximum by what? Which is what? 12 can maximum be divisible by what? يعني it's not going to be divisible by what? Do you get this يا بنات? وصلت الفكرة. So يعني our loop needs not to go to, because some numbers are huge, huh? Okay, do you get this يا بنات? Some numbers are what? Huge. خلينا نشوف هلا here. هلا if what? If prime, بس هذا السؤال راح نسأله. ما هو prime is gonna either be what? True or what? Brent what? N is a prime number. Else what? Else Brent do you get this now? I'll just change the output, not prime. بدي أعكسهم عشان ما نكونش عن confusion. Not prime n. Does that make sense now? طيب. I will go here and run it for 5. Is 5 prime? Why it's prime number? Because it went 1 2 3 مش عارف شو. تمام؟ طيب I'll go with 21. 21 is not prime because divisible by 3 and 7, right? Not prime. طيب شو رايكم هون؟ اجي نقول للloop what happened here. If you go inside the loop, print n is divisible, هيك divisible by I. Do you get this? Break. تمام؟ طيب ها large prime numbers. في prime numbers كبار ها. هاي هذا برايم شايفينه؟ ليش ما بعرف ها؟ This number, do you see it? Good? طيب احنا what is our input? Okay, run. شو الرقم كان؟ 4273. You see it went how many times inside it? طب مش حرام اخليه يروح من 2 ل 4272 وانا I know a number cannot be what? طيب فهون راح اقول له what? Divided integer division by 2. Why? Because if n is 5 ولا 15, well, I cannot get 7.5. This is a for loop. A for loop, the start and end must be what? Integers. يعني if n is 15, it's going to go to 7. Do you get this now? Tamam. So now I'll run the same program with 4273 and is a prime number. But now at least I know it went to where? To half of that value, صح? There are some huge prime numbers, يا بنات. Okay, see? High order prime numbers. بعرفش اذا راح بعرفش اذا انا اخذت فاليو صحيح ولا لا واصلا ما اوكي اشتغل والله ها مطولين صح do you see يا بنات do you see it's working على فكره still calculating it's calculating this. Does that make sense? I don't know if it's gonna finish or not or memory is full. I don't know, but do you see that sometimes you cannot write your code to solve small problems because in real life you expect the problems to be what? Yani don't write your code for the 10 value maximum 10. No. You need to write the value of something that's much larger than that. Done with the prime number. Let us now start question 11. Question 11. Write a program that asks the user to enter a number and prints all the divisors. Yani, for example, number 10, the divisors are 1, 2, and 5. Number 12 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. That's it. A divisor is also called the factor of an integer. Okay, for example, the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4. So this is an easy question. Let us just go and write it. It's going to be a loop. And here, program 11.py. And this is the question. And let's see how we're going to start. We're going to ask the user to input a value first. And the value is going to be integer. So n is going to equal to integer input. Enter an integer. The program did not, or the question did not say anything about validation. So now we need to go in a loop from 1 to n. So for I in range 1 to n plus 1, because we need to use the value itself, so it must be n plus 1. If n modulus I is equal 0, that's it. This is the question. In this case, it's divisible, and this value, the value of I, is a factor of n. So let's do print. I'll print I and say end is equal to space. So I don't want a new line. And before the loop, I will say print. You will understand this in the outputs. The factors of n are, and inside the loop we'll print the number one by one, and that's it. This is the question actually. Let's test it. Enter an integer. I'll enter 6. The factor of 6 are 1, 2, 3, 6. That's it. So let us run again. Let's first clear some space here and run, and we'll give it 12. The factors are 1, 2, 3, 6, 12. Let's make sure this question is right. Yeah. So 1 and 8 here in this example are included. So that's it. This is a simple question. You just check what are the values of in the loop that are divisible, the number is divisible by, and print them. The output here is very simple, and I can just output a new line after that empty line. One final time, test it. I'll enter 15, 1, 3, 5, and 15. Problem solved. Next problem. Okay, rewrite this program from problem set 2 using yes-no loop. We solved this question using if-else. And now we need to keep asking the user to input values and options. Let's see the problem set here. And I believe we have it here. Okay, recording. This is the question. This is our solution. And this solution has no loop. So let's see what we're going to do here. p12.python. And this is our solution, if you recall. And if you don't recall, you can watch that recording. So enter Celsius temperature 40. I'll select F compared to Fahrenheit. Excellent. Good. So now the question says we need to do what? We need to do it using yes-no loop. So once you finish one, you ask the user, do you want to continue, yes or no? It's a straightforward style now. So we'll go home, and I'll say again, for example, is equal to yes or y. And the loop will be while again is equal capital Y, or again is equal small y. So if the user inputs either capital or small, it's going to work. That's it. Now I need to take everything inside, select it, and press tab. So now the solution or the things we did before are now part of a loop. And in the last step of the loop, I need to ask the user to input whether he wants to continue or not, and give him yes, what, no. So now if the user inputs y at the end of the loop, it will come back to line 2. The condition will be true. It will go again, repeat the same things. See, girls, I didn't touch the code. I just brought the code and put it inside the loop. I added the loop mechanism here, which is yes-no mechanism. That's it. So now let's run this here. Okay, it went inside the loop. Again, was true the very first time. I'll enter any temperature, Kelvin. Now, this is what happened. Now, continue yes or no. I will select, for example, y, small y this time. It's taken care of in line 2. Enter Celsius temperature. I want to convert it to Fahrenheit. And now I'll press no. So it's all about creating a variable, call it again, whatever, continue, whatever, and then ask the user at the end of the loop whether he wants to do that again or not. See, I did not touch the code here. If you have something that's working for one input, just put it inside the loop. The type of the loop depends on the question and in the problem itself. Next question. Oh, We did also this in problem set 2 to find the shipping charges. Now, we did it actually for one time. Let's see here. Where is the question? Here is the question. And this will work again for one time only. The question says, do this until the user inputs what? A negative weight. If the user inputs a negative weight, we need to quit. So I'll take this, all of this, which has been tested and working for one input. So this is program 13, and I'll write the code. Let's test it again here. Okay, free some real estate, run. Okay, so what's the weight of the package? 3, zone 3, it's working fine. I'm not gonna touch the code. What I was told, if the user inputs a negative value, quit. That's it. So now I go home, press here to get some space. My condition will be while true. I will take everything inside the loop and indent it. Now the user here enters the weight. I can add a message, negative, after the weight of the package here. I can say negative to quit or to exit. After this, I will say if weight is less than 0, which means negative, break. So now I took everything inside a while loop. So it has become part of the loop, or what we call loop body. Now we ask the user about the weight. If the weight is negative, we break. If it's not, we continue doing the same thing we did before. This code has been tested before, explained before, but now instead of doing it only once for one shipment, it's part of a loop. And the loop style is while true, and there is a sentinel value, negative weight value. If the user input it, the program is going to break. Let's test it now. Okay, 8 and 3 working fine. 2 and 4 working fine. 5 and 7, whatever values, are working fine. I'm not testing. I'm not even looking at the output because we have done this before. Now I'll enter a negative weight, -6. My program now is waiting on line 2. I'm inputting the weight here in line 2. If the weight is negative, break will be executed. That's it. Of course, for such programs, it's not in the question. Let us do sometimes like total money is equal 0, total weight, which is equal to 0, and number of or shipment count. How many shipments? Yani this is kind of a report that I can output after the loop to tell the user that the total money for these shipments is equal to the weight and how many shipments. So this is very simple actually. We can just increment this here because if the user goes here, it means everything is fine. See line 11? Even I'm doing this after validating the weight and the zone. Does that make sense? In line 9, I do validation for weight and zone. So now, in this case, I'll say shipment count plus equal 1, incremented it, and this is not right actually. I need to be out of this. I can do it here. Okay, I can do it after calculating everything. And total weight is equal to plus equal W, and total money plus equal, which is going to be, what did we call it here in the side? We called it price. So that's it. So because if we reach here, it means everything was successful. So now we can increment the number of shipments, increment or add the new weight and add the new price to the total. Outside all loops now, I can print the final message, F. Okay, here I'll say shipment count, shipments, total charge is equal to, and here I say total money. You can also, if you want, you can do, okay, I put a dollar sign also, and space total weight is equal to, and I'll say what total weight. That's it. Even maybe this weight I can also format it. So now, after you break out of the loop, this will be printed telling you the accumulation of number of shipments, total weight, and total money. You need to pay attention to where you do this. In the beginning, I was about to do it here, but that was wrong. So the best thing is, the safest thing is to do it here after you finish calculation of one shipment. Let's test it. Run. 3 and 2, 4, 3 and 6, 8 and 1, and finally I will input a negative value. Oh, sorry, I entered the wrong thing here. So now 4 and 5, 3 and 4, 6 and 3, and now -1. So 3 shipments, excellent. Total charges, tamam. Total weight is equal that much pound. You can add the word pound even here. After this, I believe pound is LBs or something like this. I don't recall. That's it. So we did the same thing, but now it's part of a loop. If you do something once, it's easy to make it part of a loop. You just need to study the loop mechanism and the style of the loop. Let's see the next question. Okay, that's it. Next question is going to be nested loops. Write a Python program that uses nested loop to find the sum of factorials of integers from 1 to 10. Type. So we know how to find a factorial of a number. But now we need to find the sum of factorials from 1 to 10. So first thing, we do it for one value. So here I'll say p14.py. So for one value, n is equal to integer input. I'm not going to do validation here. Enter an integer, because later we will not need the input. So fact is equal to 1 for I in range 1 to n plus 1. So we go to the value right after the n. In this case, we just need to say factorial is equal fact times I, and that's it. And after the loop, we print, for example, f n factorial is equal to fact. So let's just test it with the value 5. I'm entering 5 here. Factorial is 120. Everything is clear and it's working fine. So now we need to find the sum of factorials from 1 to 10. Type. Then this is the 1 factorial. Don't touch it if it's working. Just put it in a loop from 1 to 10 and that's it. Here we find the factorial of n. Even I'll simplify it. I'll make the loop to go from 1 to n. No input now. I will say for n in range 1 to 11. You know why 11? Because they say what? 10. I will take all of these things and put it inside the loop. So now I selected the name n intentionally, so I don't have to touch the code. First time n is 1, so this will be the factorial of 1. Second time n is 2, this will be the factorial of 2, and so on. But you still need to find the sum of all factorials from 1 to 10. Let us say here sum is equal to 0. And after you finish each factorial, you say sum is equal to sum plus fact. Remember, fact here is again reset to 1 every time you start. Okay, so when the factorial is, when the n is 1, we start at 1. When n is 2, we again reset it to 1. So the factorial is recalculated again and again. And here we printed from we accumulate it in the sum. Let me just print sum. Okay, and no input in this one. Run. Good. Factorial if 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3, 6, 4, 24, 7, 8. Excellent. And here now we have the sum. So again, this was the code to calculate 1 factorial. Don't touch it. Just put it inside the loop. Make sure your loop is correct. They said for me, they said they need from 1 to 10. Okay. They need to sum. So after I find the factorial, I add it to this. We initialize sum to 0 before the loop. Print the sum after all the loops are done. Problem solved. Write a Python program that uses nested loops to find prime numbers between 1 and 100. Again, this is exactly the same. We just solved prime numbers. But now we need to find which numbers are prime between 1 and 100. So I will go and copy paste the same code I did before. Let's see this. Here, I believe problem 10 was prime number. This is a prime number. So this one will tell us only one prime number. Tamam, that's it. So I'll create a problem here, problem 15 pi. So this code, I know it works for one prime number. They say they need the prime numbers between 1 and 100. So no need for input here. No need to check the input. However, I need to create a loop. My code starts from here. And I need to find the first time if 1 or 2 or whatever are prime. So I'm going to remove this now. No need for this. Good. And now I need to make a loop. I will call it n for n in range 1 to 101. Hopefully this is clear. And now I will take the code from here and just indent it once. If I look at it, I believe this will work. This will work. No need to do anything. This output, we did it for debugging in a previous code. And if it's not a prime, no need to do anything. Look here. If it's not a prime, no need to output it. So this one will start with 1. Check if it's prime or not. If prime, it will be output. Okay. Again, it will go to 2, 3, 4. Every time we reset prime to true, I'm not going to explain prime. I just did here in program 10. But now we are trying to find which numbers from 1 to 100 are prime. Best thing to see is to run. Okay, good. I believe this is correct. So 1, 2, 3, 7, 11, 13. I believe all the numbers are correct and our code is also correct. Again, when you solve a problem like this, complicated problem, solve it for one input. Make sure it works once, right? Then put that code inside a loop. The loop style can change, but the algorithm to solve it for one problem is not going to change. If it's correct for one input, it should be correct in the loop. Next problem. Write a program that reads an integer from the user and print the number digits. How many digits? Like if you input 6, 7, it will tell you 2 digits. 6, 7, 8, 3 digits. Use the loop to repeat for 10 integers. It seems like we need to do some input. Then let us now solve the problem for one value. Okay, this is going to be 16. So let us just take one integer from the user, input, enter an integer. And now we need to stop and think how we're going to do it. We need to calculate the number of digits first. So let's say digits is equal to 0. The solution in this problem is going to use integer division. We're going to keep integer division or integer dividing n by 10 until n reaches to 0. Every time you divide a value by n by 10, you lose one digit, and you will count how many digits you lost. Before I start, I'll make a copy of n. I'll say temp is equal to n. Why I'm doing this? Because I don't want to lose the value of n at the end of the loop. Because I'll be dividing the value by 10 until it reaches 0. So the solution simply is going to be somewhere like this. Let's say first time you enter this value. If we integer division by 10, we're going to get 435. If you integer division by 10, you're going to get 43. Integer division by 10, you're going to get 4. Integer division by 10, you get 0. And we calculate how many times we did the integer division. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's it. The number of digits are 4. And why I made a copy of n? Because I don't want to lose the value of n. I want it maybe to be output at the end or for whatever reason. So the loop will be while temp is not equal to 0. If it's not, then increment digits by 1. Then integer divided. So I'll say temp is equal to integer division by 10. And from this here, you know the first value will go now and lose one of its digits. Well, that's it. That's it. We are done. By the end of the loop, the number of digits is our answer. So let me just do a print statement here. Print n. Hopefully now you know why I did not change n. So I'll say n, okay, has digits. Okay, digits. That's it. So now let me just run for one time here. Enter an integer 678. Hopefully the answer is 3. Excellent. The answer is 3. Run it again, test it. I'll enter this with a bigger number. 9 digits. Excellent. Now the question says, use this in a for loop or a loop to repeat 10 times. Yani you will input 10 integers. That's fine. I'm not going to do anything here. I'm just going to make a loop from 1 to 10. For I in range 10. That's it. However, now I need to indent everything one time inside the loop. That's it. So now this loop is going to be executed 10 times. So I'm going to input 10 times. I'm going to calculate digits 10 times. And I'm going to output digits 10 times. To give the user a better output, let us say enter integer. And here put dash I plus 1. Since we are starting from 0, I plus 1 will be a good prompt message to the user. So now whatever I did is going to be repeated 10 times. Run. So enter integer 1. That's it. And hopefully everything is working fine. Even I'm testing it for 1 value, for 2 values. All of them are working fine. That's it. So I solved the problem for 1 number, made sure it's working correct, and I just then put my correct solution of 1 input inside the loop, and it will be a multi-input solution. Okay, write a Python program to print a square pattern from, okay, we need a square of stars. This is a typical classic nested loop question, b17.python, and my program is going to be like this. So this is a nested loop question. What's the nested loop question is 2 loops, and it will be 5 times. And you saw the output is going to be something like this, 5 times. That's khalas. So the outer loop for out in range 5. I like to use out and in so you don't get confused. So the outer loop will go 5 times. Each time we need to print 5 stars. That's it. For inner, I'll call it inner, in range, also 5. So the inner loop will go also 5 times for each iteration of the outer loop. So inside the inner loop, I'll print star. I can put space before and after. However, I'll not make a new line. So I'll say end is equal to whatever. So now this star will be printed 5 times. This is one line. After you finish one line, you're going to go back to the outer loop in line 2. Before you go there, just print a new line like this. So now the outer loop will go from 0 to 4. The inner loop will go from 0 to 4. The inner loop will print the star 5 times. After it's printed, it comes out of the loop, print a new line, and that's it. What is okay? Let's run. That's it here. Of course, you can take the input from the user here. Let me say columns equal. Let's take it input integer. Enter number of columns here. Tamam. And I can say rows. Here. Enter number of rows, and that's it. For out in range of rows, number of rows. For inner in columns. So now it depends on how many columns and rows you need, and your question is general. So I have 10 columns, but I need only 3 rows. That's it. Problem solved. Now another classic nested loop. We need this output. If the user inputs 5, we need what? 1, then 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you look at the question, every time we will add one value. So first time the inner loop will go to 1, then to 2, to 3. Let's do it. I will prefer do it يعني. Okay, let's just write this here. Okay, now problem 18, Python here. So now let's say we need to get some input from the user. We will do it first for 5. So 2 loops for in outer, out in range 5. I can say 1 to 6 if you want. Good. I can say 1 to 6. Also for inner in range, because I don't want 0, but I can also work with the output, you know that. 1 to, now this is the question. 1 to what? 1 to out. Why? Now the inner loop first time will go 1 to out plus 1, which is 1 to 2. Yeah. Second time, the inner loop will go from 1 to 3. Third time, the inner loop will go from 1 to 4. See, the inner loop every time with the value, when the value of out grows, the inner loop will grow. So now see what I'm going to do here. Print out, print inner. Good. Print inner. And let me look at the output. They need like space. Tamam. So the inner and end is equal to space. So now, first time I will be 1. The inner loop will go from 1 to 1. You know that out will be 2, but the inner loop will only work one time. Then out will be 2, so the inner loop will go 1 and 2. And if we look at the output, by the way, the program is done, I believe. Khalas, done. Okay, and what did we forget here? We just need a new empty line after we finish the inner loop. Run. That's it. So first time the inner loop goes 1 to 1. Second time the inner loop grows with the outer loop. If someone shows you the opposite output, then you do the opposite. So this one, the inner loop grows with the, it could be only stars here, and it can be only stars here. In many questions, you will see this as what? As a star here, run. So it will grow and print like this. So this was a simple question. The inner loop grows with the outer loop. Next one. Now we need to do the opposite. So clearly we need to reverse the loops. And I will copy paste the same code here, and and we'll go here and say problem 19 and pi. I copy paste the same code. Here I will say from 5 to 0, of course, minus 1. Let me see. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 5. Good. And here I will say from 1 to out. No need for minus 1 when you go downwards. Well, probably this is going to work على طول, huh? Let me see. That's it. But what we missed here, we need plus 1 because it goes to 4. So because, yeah, 1 to 5. So now here, that's it. So the inner loop, the outer loop first time will be 5. So the inner loop will go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the outer loop second time will be 4, 3, 2. So every time the outer loop shrinks, the inner loop shrinks also. So it was exactly the same problem, but reversed. I will put the code now. I will put the code in a program 20, both of them. Program 20.py here. I will put this and then go to 19. So, and let's see the output here. Okay, yes. Instead of printing numbers, I will print only what? Star. Instead of printing numbers, I'll put only stars here. It will give you the shape of a diamond, one-sided diamond. You see this here? Because the inner loop will go from 1 to 5,